Is Will Powell the real deal?
The package is a forward pod.
Welcome back to SupercoachRnerds, where we nerd out all things Supercoach.
Round 8. Here we go. Alrighty. Must have defenders this week. Firstly, the big sis, James Sicily. He comes in this week at 542,000 with a break even of 77. He's got a very good matchup against Freo, where I expect him to go big. Probably pop out a 120, have his usual big day out with a lazy 20 plus disposals and probably like 12 bucks. He's got a decent fixture ahead with the likes of Melbourne, West Coast, and St Kilda to come after Freo. After his highest score of the season last week with 128, he's 100% up there in the top few players who are a must-in this week if you can get him in. Only upwards from here for the big sis. Secondly, Jack Sinclair. Sinclair's another underpriced primo in defence, coming in at 540k this week after a score of 109 last week against Port. With a break-even 95, a juicy fixture against North this week, Sinclair could go huge and easily pump out a 120 plus easily. With Adelaide, GWS, and Hawthorn to come, he's got a decent fixture ahead after North. The only thing with Adelaide, could Keys put some intention into him after the whole Nick Dacre scenario last week. Definitely recommend, though, getting Big Sinclair in this week, and he should easily finish the top 6 defender, as well as Sicily.
Looking at midfielders now, the must-have midfielder is Jack Still. Jack Still sitting at around 537k is a slightly underpriced promo. However, he just came off a 126 against Port, and it has a break-even of 126 as well, meaning that he has a potential to go down a little bit, but considering the likes of North coming up, in addition to Adelaide and GWS, and then Hawthorn, he has potential to fucking go bang. That means it could be a huge week for Still this week. Next up, we got Patrick Cripps. Patrick bloody Cripps, the man, has been on fire the last couple of weeks with massive scores of 130 and 153. And this week, with a relative break-even of bloody 54, which is insane, he's definitely a value pick in the midfield. But the question is, will he finish the season as a top 8 mid with the likes of, Bontempelli, Dawson now playing as a defensive mid, and all those other top-end midfielders? Will he be able to crack the 8? Anyways, he's got the fixtures such as Brisbane, the Dogs, Pies, and Sydney ahead. So you can't look further than Cripper for the long term. The man is built for the big games. And last up, to round off our midfielder picks, we have Petrarca. Now, quite a pod. Petrarca's an absolute gun on the field and obviously in the kitchen as well. If you haven't seen his TikToks, I recommend. Sitting at a roughly 600k mark with a break-even of 71, projected to increase by 25k, he could be a cop right now. Only 10.2% of teams, meaning that he's quite a value pod. And also the helping hand of games against Gold Coast and Hawthorn, he could go well above the ton. So look towards getting someone like Petrarca in as that pod.
Following up from that, just said about the top 3 must-have mids, who would you be bringing in this week if you had that opportunity out of Still, Cripps, and the good old Petrarca?
Yeah, look, I mean, I would actually wait a week. Like, if I had to consider Jack Still, I would probably wait a week, considering his break-even is 126. So, he could go down, meaning that, you could get him for sub 530, 528, which is, relatively cheap for a primo if he can perform. But out of Cripps and Petrarca, I mean, Cripps is slightly cheaper, but again, I think in the long run, and looking at Melbourne's overall team, I think Petrarca, even being a pod, is probably the right choice. I don't know if Cripps will finish a top 8 midfielder. I don't think he personally will, whereas I think Petrarca probably can sneak his way in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Still's a great value pick, but my only issue is Still, he just came back from a bit of a dodgy shoulder, and the question is, you don't want to jump on it in case he re-injures himself, and it's a waste of a trade. I would probably go for Petrarca for the long run, because I saw recently he's on track to get DPP status, to get forward status, which would break everything. It'd easily be he'd be F1, him and Taranto. So
That would be
fingers
unreal, wouldn't it?
fingers crossed. I think Melbourne's got a couple of easy games coming up ahead. If the D's are on fire, just rest the man forward. Make sure it gets over that 35% forward time.
Gets
And
that
we
eligibility.
might have a massive trade in on the hands,
That
fellas.
would be unreal, wouldn't it? Now the question is, are you getting any of the three in?
Unfortunately, not. I've hesitated at the idea of Petrarca, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I don't think it'll happen this week.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Alrighty. And lastly, with part three, in terms of probably the must have trade ins for forwards, we've only both agreed on Canelio. That comes in at 526k. It looks like he's on par to be a top six forward. I can happily say I've got him in my team. Got him in last week, and pretty sure he pumped out like a 110, which was nice. We like that. And with a break even of 57, I would say he looks like a great fit. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, I'm the exact same. I did bring him in last week as well, and I think he was way too undervalued last week at what was he
199?
499k for a
Jesus.
top six lock forward, 100% bringing him in.
Big lock.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stat comparisons throughout when he got. I think he had a 71 and a 58. So 58 against Carlton, Essendon 71, and he did pump out quite a few disposals, which didn't really see that they were anything wrong with them, and he should have scored quite higher than that. However, Champion Data just apparently don't like him. So
Yeah, champion data. Bunch of interesting people. What can we say?
yeah,
But I think the only thing with Cogs is a great accumulator. It's sometimes that disposal efficiency. That's the only
lets him
thing.
down.
Similar to Petrarca to an extent, but
Yeah,
great player.
yeah. But I feel like if you're gonna finish the season strong, or the rest of Supercoach, you're gonna have to get him in as a forward for sure.
And now for some players, I probably highly recommend if you own, probably time to give them the boot. Upgrade season, downgrade season. Pick your fancy. First name off the ranks, Fergus Green.
My beloved
What,
Hawk.
what can we say? The man didn't start the season well, but he's actually done very well in terms of generating us some profit.
Yeah.
With those three solid 70 plus scores, he was able to get us up to 284k, and with a break even of 57 this week, I'd probably say it's time you probably give him the boot. Although you could probably risk holding him another week, considering they play Fremantle. But yeah, for me personally, I'm giving him the boot to pick up Jim Cotter.
Yep. I'm kind of the same, to be honest. I think it's time to get rid of him, even though I am a beloved Hawthorn fan. Unfortunately, this year, he has been playing quite good. It's just I think with the likes of Mitchell back in the lineup, and you know other small forwards coming in, it might limit his role. Although Bruce is managed this week, meaning that he might get a little bit more, I don't know, runs towards the ball. But with a break even of 57, I think it is a boot. Yep.
Yeah, I just don't think, like what you said with Lewis back, I just don't think he's as targeted as much as Lewis is that big presence. Obviously, he crashes packs, and Fergus is a bit more undersized.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah. Continuing on, so Will Setterfield, I'd probably say if you're an owner of him, he's done great service, I guess, but I reckon it's time to, if you got the cash in the bank, I'd be upgrading him. His last couple of weeks have been a bit iffy, but I think it's time to give him the flick. Maybe look to pick up like your Crips, your Steals. Can't go wrong. Just, time to give him the flick.
Yeah.
Just to set and go.
I do agree. Breaking even of 117. Don't think he'll get that, unfortunately. Only gone above 100 once. But as a starter pick, definitely was worth it. But yeah, I think it is time for the flick.
And lastly, before we conclude, just a quick one, I would say. Just keep an eye out for a few of these blokes who are playing the first game for the season weekend. The first one for North, Blake Dury, who's 102k, I think mid forward.
Yep,
Could be a shout if if the man can go for 60 the first game, just have decent job security. Could be a little cash gem on the bench, but bit of a wait and see. The second name, Harry Sharp, 123k mid for the Lions. I believe he plays. I think he plays on the wing, so job security could be an issue for the long term. But we never know. If he pumps out a good score first game, and then obviously the second, could be a lock. But just gonna wait and see. And then the last one, Jared Berry's brother, Tom, playing his first game for Gold Coast. I doubt this will be probably a cash gen pick, but never know because I think he's a small forward. So yeah, 123k. Who knows? I think hopefully it could be something, but probably out of the three names just said, I don't think. But who knows?
Yeah, but I suppose for all three, neither of the three have actually played this year, so they don't have any games under their belt, meaning that their fluctuation in scores could be significant. So I suppose, I would suggest not getting either of them in obviously this week, waiting for them to poll at least one game, and then obviously seeing what their projections are and their break-evens are after that.
And to conclude with our trades for this week, so for me, I'll be downgrading Fergus Green to Chincotta, and then I will be bringing in, get rid of Jinby. And at this stage, it'll be a toss-up between Sicily and Sinclair, because they're just both great value picks, and just need a lockdown in defence. Get rid of Jinby's points on field.
That's a pretty good trade.
Ale, what do you think it feels?
Look, top 3% last week, so I was pretty happy with that. So I don't really have too many changes. The main one, obviously, I have to do is Grundy, because Grundy's break-even's, I think, 132, if I'm not mistaken. So we've gone back in the side. I definitely ain't getting that. So definitely going to get rid of Grundy. Thinking of either Wits or Sean Darcy. Now, Mike and I did make the mistake of starting him.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest regret this season.
Which obviously we did end up trading, and ultimately he's actually come out as, I think, a top 2 ruckman right now, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, either him, or if I downgrade Fergus Green to Sam Simpson, then I can get Tim English. Now, Tim English's break-even is pretty high, so he will go down a bit, so I'm not really too sure about rushing into that. So, yeah, I'm going to weigh it up, but probably right now I'm looking at Wits for Grundy. But, yeah, have to definitely think about that.
Alrighty. And thank you for listening, guys, and good luck to everyone this weekend.
Cheers.